Well, hello, my mates. You're probably wondering who I am. I am the ghost of Captain David Forktongue, notorious pirate captain. And I have come back from the dead to share with you some wonderful stories and songs that have to do with piracy and the dark realm. Now, I didn't always start off a pirate captain. As a young lad, I served as a member aboard a military vessel. Now, although I served the captain, a man by the name of Captain William Warren, very faithfully, me heart and soul was always that of piracy. And I had committed many crimes aboard Captain Warren's ship, including one crime with a treasure that was not all gold and silver. It was the good captain's wife. You want to talk about a treasure chest. Well, eventually it was reported to Captain Warren the crimes I had been committing. So I was shackled up and brought before Captain Warren. And as he is naming all these crimes, did you do this? Did you commit this crime? I was looking at the good captain, and I sunk my head down and slowly brought it back up, still listening to naming all these crimes. And as I am hearing these crimes, all I could do was look him in the eye and say, "Yeah, I did that. Yes, I did that too. Oh, that, yes, absolutely. Well, not so sure about that one, but no, that's a good one. I'm going to take credit for that even though I didn't do it." And of course, that got me shackled up and locked in the brig maze. Wah! And he gave orders, Captain Warren, that I was to be executed by the noose on the morrow. The morrow came, and I was nowhere to be found. They searched for me all over the ship, and they couldn't find me. Now, where was I? Well, though I love sharing my adventures of piracy, this is one story I like to keep close to me heart. But what I will tell you, mates, is that I was seen years later captaining my own ship and sailing that ship under a flag of piracy, mates. Now, although I made quite a career as a successful pirate captain, like most pirates, my career was short-lived. I was eventually arrested by the Navy, stood trial and was found guilty of my crimes, and they took me and hanged me on the gallows. Now, most pirates, after they are hanged, will oftentimes, the bodies will be taken and tarred and feathered and placed up and facing out towards the ocean until the body decays to nothing but bones. This process is known as gibbeting. The idea is it serves as a warning to other seamen of what happens if you even think of turning to piracy. So I was gibbeted as well. And there is me body facing out towards the ocean. Suddenly a gaggle of crows swarmed down and started pecking at me dead flesh. And then they ripped me eyes out. And the crows spoke to me, saying, "Captain David Forktongue, it is time for you to learn new stories when we cross over to the land of the dead." So I've come back from the land of the dead to share with you some of these stories. Some will be about myself, and others will be about other pirates who suffered these ghostly acts. Oh, and if you see the ferryman of the River Styx, you didn't bump into me. For you see, any time a body is dead, many people will put 2 coins on the eyes. These are called O-balls. They are used to pay the ferryman as your soul crosses over to the river Styx. So as I boarded the ferryman's boat, he told me, 1 obol, please. I handed him one, and there by his feet were a whole tub of obols, and I told him that I would give him an obol, which I did, and I will admit, when his back was turned, I took about 7 of his. So that's something else I am very famous for. I robbed the ferryman crossing over the river Styx. So now, let me share with you some pirate tales. The first tale I'm going to share with you tells the tale of a pirate captain named One-Eyed Bruce. Now, you all heard about the Flying Dutchman and Davy Jones. Now, it was said that a pirate captain by the name of One-Eyed Bruce, he was so bold, he would stand up to anyone, even in foolish attempts. Captain One-Eyed Bruce decided that he was getting tired of robbing the Navy and doing all these smaller crimes. He wanted something much bigger. So what he decided to do was that he decided, we are going to track down the Flying Dutchman, and we are going to steal the gold of Davy Jones. Now, there had been many legends as to what happens if you even touch Davy Jones's gold. Some say it will bring eternal life. Some say it will bring good fortune. But some say that it will give you a servitude for eternity aboard the Flying Dutchman. Now, One-Eyed Bruce tracked down the Flying Dutchman, and that night he hopped in a rowboat and he sailed over. And he boarded the Flying Dutchman, and there was Davy Jones's treasure. Now, no one else was around. Suddenly, One-Eyed Bruce touched the treasure chest, and from each corner of the ship, ghostly crimson figures suddenly appeared. Ah, you are condemned, One-Eyed Bruce. Ah! There is One-Eyed Bruce now, as a permanent fixture of the Flying Dutchman. Not a member of the crew. He stands in one corner of the ship. Only his face is allowed to appear. Doomed and condemned aboard the Flying Dutchman. When I was a little boy, so my mother told me, way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, and if I did not kiss the girls, my lips would grow all moldy. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, so first I met a Yankee girl. She was so fat and lazy. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, and then I met an Irish girl. She damn near drove me crazy. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, and William is the ship's captain, pillaging from land to land. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, he was caught and tried and was hung, fate granted by the king's own hand. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Now, this next tale I want to share with you tells the story of a pirate captain named Edward Greenwell. Now, there are very few who know Captain Greenwell by his birth name, for he became known as Captain Goldlim Greenwell. Now, this all started in the year 1786. There was Edward Greenwell and crew boarding a naval vessel. Now, the crew of the naval ship saw them boarding, and the captain of the ship, a man by the name of Samuel Cutler, said, "We must attack the pirates before they steal our treasure." So a fierce battle broke out between Greenwell's crew and the Royal Navy. Now, during the battle, the whole crew managed to secure a nice big treasure aboard their lifeboat and sailed it back to their vessel. Now, there was Edward Greenwell, left to fight Samuel Cutler right there on the deck of the ship. The two men drew their swords and fought back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then Samuel Cutler thrust the sword out of Greenwell's hand, took his sword and sliced off the left arm of Edward Greenwell. So there he is, staring right there by the back end of the ship. Now, there he is also with only one arm. He leaped up and leaped into the ocean. Now, you may think that old Cutler would drown and die right there. Oh, no. Old Greenwell was a very skilled swimmer. He managed to swim back to his own ship on only one arm. And when he got to the ship, his last ounce of breath had gave out, and he started sinking down to the bottom of the ocean. But thankfully, one of the crewmen grabbed his arm and brought him back aboard the ship, and they sailed off to safety. Now, the question remained. Yes, they had the treasure, but what to do about the missing limb of Edward Greenwell? Now, Greenwell, he was a fair man, but he also was aware of the rules of piracy. Believe it or not, there are many rules that you must obey when becoming part of a pirate crew. Your first duty when you are joining up with a pirate crew, whether you do it willingly or not, is you sign a contract called the Articles. Now, the Articles state that you obey the rules of the ship and the captain. Now, when rules pertain to treasure, it's stated in the Articles that the captain gets his share first, which is whatever he wanted. And then he distributes the rest evenly amongst the crew. Now, there are bonuses available to the crew. How do you get a bonus from a captain? Well, it's very simple. You return to battle missing a body part, a hand, a leg, even an eye. This is why you often see pirates with hooks for hands, eye patches, and peg legs. So I guess you could say that we pirates, we're the ones who started workman's compensation. So, because Greenwell returned to his ship missing a whole arm, he decreed that he not only gets his share of the gold first, but an extra bonus for returning missing his arm. He then takes the gold and turns it over to the ship's carpenter. The ship's carpenter then melts the gold down and shapes it and creates a golden arm for Edward Greenwell. Then, being the skilled man that he is, the carpenter attaches the arm, the golden arm, onto Greenwell's body. And from that moment on, Edward Greenwell was known as Captain Goldlim Greenwell. Now, eventually, poor Goldlim was captured. and forced to stand trial and found guilty of his crimes of piracy. He was hanged for these crimes. And, just like myself, he was tarred, feathered, and gibbeted. Now, when he was gibbeted, he still had his golden arm. That night, Samuel Cutler snuck over to the body of Goldlim Greenwell and cut it down. He brought it back to his home and down to his cellar, where he laid the body on a table, took out a hatchet and sliced the golden arm off of Greenwell's body. He then placed Greenwell's body in a sack, put it in a rowboat, rowed out to the middle of the ocean, and dumped it overboard. Now he rowed back to his home, and there he is, holding and caressing the golden arm of Goldlim Greenwell. "It's mine," he kept repeating. "Mine, mine, I am rich." Soft, contented sleep, looking greedily at peace as he's dreaming of his new life as a wealthy man. But suddenly, old Greenwell was woken up to a series of thumping noises around his house. Thump, thump, thump. "Who's there? Who's there?" he cries out. Thump, thump, thump. "Who's there? Who's there?" And then a voice cried out, "Where's my golden arm? Where's my golden arm? Where's my golden arm?" And there, hovered before him, is the ghostly figure of Goldlim Greenwell. The arm, of course, was missing, but old Goldlim raised his hand and turned it in a position as if he is strangling somebody. Suddenly, the golden hand wrapped itself around Cutler's throat and choked every single bit of life out of his body. Now, this next story I want to share with you. It tells the story of a woman named Anna. Now, Anna was so in love with the ocean that it consumed her in the end. Now, to many a sailor and pirate captain, to have a woman on board ship is bad luck. Now, Anna knew this, but she still pursued her goal. She purchased a boy's sailor suit, a pair of knickers, a shirt, and a hat. She then took her hair, her beautiful long dark hair, and she was able to pin it up and place the hat so it covered her hair smoothly. Now, Anna registered to become a member of a crew aboard a well-known pirate captain's ship. Now, Anna, or Andrew, as she went by, managed to keep her secret hidden and even rose up to the ranks of ship's cabin boy. All would go smoothly until one night, during a fierce storm, she was bringing the captain food to his cabin, a bit of beef, some greens and potatoes, and a nice mug of grog. There she is, struggling to keep the tray afloat as the rain, hail, and waves are pushing against the ship. She opens the door to the captain's cabin. A fierce wave pushes against the ship, forcing Anna to spill the food all over the captain. The captain then scorned at Anna as she ran out. The captain gave orders, "Seize the cabin boy!" And the crew grabbed hold of Anna as she's struggling to get free. Suddenly, her hat falls off, and it exposes her hair. "Captain," one of the men shouted, "the ship is cursed. This cabin boy is a woman." The captain then looks at Anna, gives orders, Send her overboard! So they pick up her body as she's struggling to get free. No, no, no! They send her overboard. And Anna drowns and dies right there. And from this moment on, Anna became known as the handsome cabin boy. It's of a pretty female, as you may understand, her mind being bent for rambling unto a foreign land. She dressed herself in sailor's clothes, or so it would appear, and she hired with a captain to serve him for a year. Her cheeks, they were like roses, her hair done up in curls. The sailors often smiled and said, he looks just like a girl. But one night during a fierce great storm, her secret was destroyed, and the Dutchman was the fate for her, the handsome cabin boy. After sending Anna overboard, the storm suddenly broke, and the moon and stars was shining down on the ship. And all was peaceful once again. The ship sailed on. The next 3 days brought good fortune to the captain and crew. They arrived at 3 different islands within 3 days, each island loaded with treasure, gold, jewels, emeralds, and sapphires. The evening that they were sailing off after the 3rd island, the captain made a speech. Men, I'm very proud of you. Our good fortune is due to you acting quickly when sending our stowaway down to Davy Jones. And a huge celebration broke out right there on the deck of the ship, with food, drink, and merriment to last all evening. The next day, the ship was on course, and at the course and speed they were headed, they should have been ported by dusk. However, dusk came, and nothing in the ocean looked familiar. No ships, no other ports, no villages, nothing. They checked the maps and charts in direction to the wind. They were on course, and everything was moving according to plan, but nothing in the ocean looked familiar. So the captain gave orders. We have no choice but to sail onward. And those onward sails turned into weeks and months, with nothing but open sea surrounding the ship, and the heat and the hot sun bearing down on the captain and crew. Very quickly, the provisions all ran out, and many a sailor were driven insane by the heat and the hot sun. But they were forced to just sail onward. One evening, one of the crew suddenly noticed a little creature leaping out of the water. The rest of the crew looked, and it looked like a little fish. But as it was getting closer, they could see it was not a fish. And another one approached the ship, and another, and another, and another. "Captain," one of the men shouted, "there be mermaids in these waters." Yes, mermaids. Many of them surrounded the ship, seducing each one of the crew with their sultry dance, their sweet song, and their incredible beauty. None of the crew could resist, as the mermaids were hypnotizing all. Hypnotizing all. Suddenly, the mermaid swam away, and from the bottom of the ocean rose the ghostly figure of a woman in a boy's sailor suit. "It's her!" one of the men shouted. It's the ghost of the woman we sent to the Dutchman. It's her! It's her! It's her! And they looked, and they could see the ghostly figure of Anna. And the ghost laughed. Doom engulfs you all! Doom! 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 And suddenly, the skies clouded, and a fierce storm broke out. Rain, hail, thunder, and lightning. And the ghostly figure of Anna disappeared as they continued to hear her laughter and cries. Doom engulfs you all. Doom! 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 Abandon ship, the men said, as they tried to make their way to the lifeboats. But the lightning struck the lifeboats, ripping them to shreds, trapping the crew aboard the ship. As they were sinking down to Davy Jones, they continued to hear, Doom! Doom engulfs you all! And the crew was sent down! Suddenly, the storm broke, and all was peaceful again. Now many a sailor and pirate captain sail by those waters, even today. Now many of them, of course, will keep a weather eye out for mermaids, as the mermaids, they know, will do the bidding of Anna, the handsome cabin boy. One night while all were lost at sea, not one known port in sight, mermaids came and approached the ship from the left and from the right. Using such charm and beauty, all were under their great spell, and all members of the ship and crew were dragged down straight to hell. Now, this final story I want to share with you. Now, this story I know to be true, as it happened to me. Now, there have been legends, even today, about a pirate ship called the Black Galleon. Now, there are many legends told about the Black Galleon, but one that intrigued me was that it accumulated more treasure than any other pirate ship. Now, hearing about this, I decided that I was going to rob the Black Galleon, and then I would be legendary in stating that I actually robbed the Black Galleon of its treasure. Now, I got word that the Black Galleon was going to port at Port Agotor, which is a safe haven for pirates. I left off my crew of the King Serpent pirate ship. That, in fact, is my ship that I sail, or did sail, to do my own piracy work. Now, I arrived at Port Agotor, and the Black Galleon had not arrived. So I waited on the dock for 3 days, drinking a little bit of refreshment. But then on the third day, the sky got foggy. And approaching Port Agotor was a huge, dark pirate ship. It was, in fact, the Black Galleon. The ship had ported, and the captain climbed off the ship. I waited for the rest of the ship to disembark, but nobody else came off the ship. This left me very confused. So I decided to go to a nearby tavern and come back that night. I returned that evening and snuck aboard the ship. But as I looked around, there was no other crew. The only thing I heard was coming from the captain's cabin. I opened the door, and there was the captain sleeping off his day of drinking at the tavern. And there on the floor under the table was a huge treasure chest. I went over, picked the lock, and yes, more treasure than I had ever seen. So I decided I was going to take the chest. Then I was intrigued by something on the table. It was a small box that looked like it had been carved by a madman. Now this piqued my interest. I started to pick the lock of this small box when suddenly the captain woke up. "Don't open that box! You'll doom us all!" And in the confusion, my hand slipped, opened the box, and many little crimson creatures climbed out of the box, and one giant serpent snake made its way up and wrapped itself around the captain's neck, choking the life out of the captain. "You doomed us all." Ugh. Suddenly, the ship shook, and then a voice cried out, "Captain David Forktongue, you now will be part of our crew. In fact, you not only are part of our crew, because you set us free, you are now our new captain. We serve you as we did our previous captain." I thought, and then spoke. "Well, if you served this captain, why did you kill him? He was going to leave us. He had no spine. But you, Captain David Forktongue, you yourself have a large spine, and you are very brave. So between you and us, we will leave a trail of broken bodies behind the Black Galleon. And we will live on, and people will hear of the legend of Captain David Forktongue, captain of the Black Galleon." It was at that moment that I realized I was a prisoner aboard the ship. So I gave my orders reluctantly. "Very well, sail onward." Suddenly the anchor rose, and as I went to try to grab the wheel moved on its own, and the ship sailed. So there I was, a prisoner aboard the Black Galleon. Now we had been sailing for about an hour when I suddenly gave orders. "Lower the anchor here." The ship lowered the anchor down, and it was open sea. The ship once again spoke. "Captain David, we have obeyed your orders. Where is our prize?" Then grabbing one of the lanterns aboard ship, I told them, "Here's your prize," and threw it on the deck of the ship. I grabbed another one, threw that down, and the ship caught fire. The ship once again shook. "Captain David Forktongue, what are you doing?" I kept throwing the lanterns down on the ship as the fire grew and grew and grew. I made it to the captain's captain, got hold of the treasure, ran out, kicked one of the lifeboats in the water, picked up the treasure, threw it down, jumped in the lifeboat, and as I was sailing across, I could hear the ship, "Captain David Forktongue, you have betrayed us!" And I sailed away as the ship was pulling itself to pieces, and it was sinking down to Davy Jones, and they kept yelling, "We are betrayed! We are betrayed!" And I rowed as fast as I could to get back to my ship. And thankfully, I rowed back safely. Now, I've always been one to watch over me back. That's the first rule of piracy. You keep one eye looking in front, and whether you have one or two eyes, one of those eyes better be looking over your shoulder. And I, in my life, would do it. I even do it in the land of the dead. I always look over my shoulder after my brief slave captainship to the Black Galleon. Oh, but I see that you are all worried, for these stories have frightened you. Well, let me reassure you that as you go about your business during the Halloween month, and whether you are going trick-or-treating or you are going to celebrate in your own way, let me assure you of one thing. It's real! It's all real! Now, when I was a schoolboy, I lived at home at ease. Now I am a sailing man, I sail the wintry seas. I thought I'd like seafaring life, it's all right till I found it's a damn sight worse than slavery when we get off the ground. And it was haul, boys, haul, boys, haul. Heave away the capstan, lads, and let's get off the troll. When the winds are blowing, the ships are gently rolling. My Emma, won't you be true to me? Now every night in winter, as regular as a clock, it's on me all sou'wester, likewise your oilskin frock. And then up to the capstan, lads, and then we'll heave away. Well, that's the cry of the middle of the night as well as in the day. And it was haul, boys, haul, boys, haul. Heave away the capstan, lads, and let's get off the troll. When the winds are blowing, the ships are gently rolling. My Emma, won't you be true to me? With winter passing over and springtime coming on, we'll go out in a weather, no time for beer or song. But then ashore we'll sail the catch, it's easier to bear. For it's beer all night in the ladies' arms when we get paid our share. And it was haul, boys, haul, boys, haul. Heave away the capstan, lads, and let's get off the troll. When the winds are blowing, the ships are gently rolling. My Emma, won't you be true to me? And it was haul, boys, haul, boys, haul. Heave away the capstan, lads, and let's get off the troll. When the winds are blowing, the ships are gently rolling. My Emma, won't you be true to me? Ah!